Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Badger, and you might be wondering from the title of this video what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about Flutter, my comic slash semi-animated series slash story in general that has been the main staple of my channel for the past couple of years. So we're going to be tackling that today because if you've been around my channel the last couple of weeks, you've probably noticed a change in content. And that is the sudden change from Flutter to a completely new story. I'm going to be talking about that today. So I have divided up this video into a couple different sections. I'm going to put the sections up on screen with all the timestamps you will ever need. Timestamps are also in the description of this video, as well as the comment section. So if you're only interested in one aspect of this situation, you can just skip on through to that timestamp, or you can just put me in the background and listen to me talk for a bit. Alright, let's get into it. Alright, getting into topic number 1. Where is Flutter? Well, to make a long story short, it is on hiatus. If you don't know what that means, it means it is sort of on pause for the time being. The reason I choose the word hiatus over the word canceled is because cancel tends to carry a meaning of permanence. Do you know what I mean? And I don't want the situation with Flutter to feel permanent. I still like aspects of the story that I was telling with Flutter, and I don't want to say canceled and say that it may never come back. That is possible. It might never come back. But there is still a possibility that I might have some more inspiration for the story. And that brings us into why I'm putting it on hiatus in the first place. That's because I lost motivation. I don't really like the story anymore. Don't get me wrong, I love aspects of it and I love the characters. I put a lot of heart and soul into this story, so it carries a lot of meaning for me. But I think when you start a story when you're in middle school, and you're still working on that story in high school, and you find yourself in a situation where you don't like what you're doing anymore. And I believe that my skills now, not only as an artist but as a storyteller, have advanced much farther than they were when I was in middle school. So that's basically why I'm moving on to a different story. You might have seen it on my channel. It's called Harvesters. I'm going to talk about that in a different section, in my section talking about the future of this channel. So if you want to just skip there, I'll talk about Harvesters more. Let's move on to the next section. Alright, section 2 is pretty short, but section 3, the problems of Flutter, is going to be a bit longer, so hunker down. Where to begin with the problems of Flutter? There's a lot of things in Flutter that, looking back on now, hindsight being 2020 and having the eyes of someone who is a bit older than I was when I first started this, I see a lot of problems with the story I was writing. I guess we can start off with the fact that I created this story when I was very young. And not that very young people can't create stories that are amazing. But in my case, I didn't know what I was doing. And I continued with this basic idea that I had many years ago. And I didn't have the courage to just change things. To change where the story was, how it began, the characters, where they're going, what the entire story was. I was too afraid to change that, so I kept the basic flawed plot and just kind of tried to make it work, which I don't think is how I would recommend going about it. Not only that, but I feel like I put on this facade of knowing what I'm doing and, having it all figured out and planned. I released map part after map part of different scenes, and people are like, whoa, can't wait for this to come up in the story, But honestly, the entire time I was doing that, I was flying by the seat of my pants. I had vague ideas about where the story was going to go and how I wanted it to go. But honestly, it was all made up on the spot. And I should have been more honest about that. I was basically writing it as I went along and just making up stuff that I thought was cool and that what I would want to see in a story. I didn't have even a grand plot figured out, even vaguely. I had no idea where it was going. And it was discouraging, especially in the last couple of months, knowing that I can do better and feeling like I was stuck with this story that didn't work. So that's why I'm moving on from Flutter. Not only that, I would like to issue an apology to everyone, to the people who watch my channel, to the people who follow my art, to the people who worked with me on this story, to fellow artists who helped me, who gave me advice, who helped me write this story. I'm sorry for letting you down, because I know there is a certain percentage of people who was looking forward to this story. And I know that in my heart that there are people that I have let down. And I'm taking full responsibility for that. It's no one else's fault but mine. I should have gone about it better, and I know I can do better now. So if you're willing to stick around, even if it's not Flutter related, I hope you will stay around for just a bit longer and maybe get to know the characters I have for Harvesters. It's going really well so far, and I'll talk about that more in the future of the channel section because I'm very excited about this story. So I'm sorry for leading people on to basically a dead end. I would like to do something with Flutter. I really, really would, but I need a break. I need a break from it. I don't know how long that break is going to be, but it's going to be kind of long, and we'll see if I come back to it. Let's move on to section 3. All right, section 3. What is happening to the characters of Flutter? Well, I'll start off by saying I'm not selling them. So I'm sorry if people were looking forward to me selling them. Maybe they wanted to buy it, but for 2 reasons. First off, the characters would be incredibly expensive because of the vast amount of art each one of them has, especially Ryan. Ryan has probably like $300 plus worth of art. He would be worth in the hundreds of dollars because he has animations, he has PMVs, he has AMVs, he has fan art from other people. He would be very, very expensive. Same with Time and Basil and even like Aaron and some of the other characters. So they would be super expensive, and I feel like I'd be skimping people out on not great of a character. The second reason I don't want to sell them or get rid of them in any way is because they have vast amounts of sentimental value to me. A lot of heart and soul that I put into these characters, especially with the main 3, Ryan, Time, and Basil. They have a lot of me and my brother and my sister and a lot of aspects of people that I know and love in them. And I would feel uncomfortable knowing that someone was using them and not writing them, or they're very close to my heart, and I have complete creative control over what these characters do, what they say, what they like, what they dislike. And if I was to sell their designs, I would see something very close to me doing something that I wouldn't choose for them to do. I hope that makes sense to everybody. So for now, they're being put into a metaphorical box, and I'm putting them in my metaphorical closet, my creative closet, and we'll see one day if I pull them out. I might still doodle them here and there, and you might see them show up either on my YouTube community tab or on my DeviantArt or something like that. But for now, they're going to go away. So you won't be seeing them too much on the channel. I know that a lot of you are subscribed for Flutter content. So like I said in the last section, I can totally understand you moving on from the channel and unsubscribing. I totally get that. I've done that before with other creators. But if you'd be willing to stick around and find out what Harvesters is, I would be super, super appreciative. Just give it a chance. Maybe you'll like it as much as I do. All right, let's move on to the next section. This is going to be a shorter section, but welcome to section 4, Will Flutter Ever Come Back? Like I said in some of the previous sections, I'm not sure. At the moment, I'm in a transitional period in my life where I'm moving on from some things and moving on to better things. And it's hard to graph my life out even a year from now, because I have no idea where I'm going to be a year from now or 2 years from now. Things are kind of crazy right now, not only in my personal life, but just in the world right now. And it's hard to plan ahead that far, because plans that were made a week ago or a month ago or a year ago are suddenly changing. So I'm not sure if Flutter will ever come back. Like I also said, I don't think I will stop drawing them altogether, because even drawing the Speedpaint and redoing the cover, it was so much fun to draw them again, and it made me really happy to just spend time with the characters that I developed for the past like 3 years. Yeah, that's a long time. So that was actually really, really fun. All right, let's move on to the next section. Welcome to section 5, the future of this channel. This will be a bit of a longer one as well. What does the future of this channel look like? Well, like I also said in the previous section, I keep going back to previous sections, sorry. It's hard to plot forward from in my life. Things are changing right now. I don't know how long I'm going to keep doing this channel. I would love to do it for forever, because it makes me so happy to see people genuinely excited to see stuff that I create and excited to see the characters that I work with. It makes me super, super, super happy. But I'm not sure how long it will keep going. I know that I'll do it for the rest of 2020 and into 2021, but who knows what will happen. For now, I'm going to be focusing this channel on harvesters. And this is the section where I'll be talking about them. So what is harvesters? Well, harvesters is a new story. I needed to work on humans, because I'm still bad, but I'm definitely improving. In March, before quarantine, I had no idea how to draw a person. I had no idea, zero. And so I like sat down and I was like, okay, I'm just going to create a human character, and I will create this character, and then it'll motivate me to draw more, because I'll want to draw them more. So I created this dude called Oliver, and I just enjoyed doodling him so much, so I gave him his entire story, and I really fell in love with it, and I got to connect all the things that I enjoy. Fantasy, magic, plague doctors. I love plague doctors. The whole aesthetic, the whole get up, it makes me so happy. I think they're just so freaking cool. So I got to mess around with that. I also got to mess around with characters with cat and bird-like features, because I was horrible at drawing beaks too. So like, okay, so let's put some beaks in there so I can figure out how to draw them too. And it just sort of morphed into something that I really, really like. I'm not going to give a full rundown on the plot, but basically we got our boy Oliver. His name is Oliver Crowley, and he is something called a halfling, which is a half human, half harvester. And harvesters are basically, they're like grim reapers of this world. Basically, this world is Earth. It's sort of like a Harry Potter situation where the wizarding world was like underground and humans or muggles didn't know about it. It's sort of like that, except instead of wizards, it's like griffin people. Basically, the harvesters act as grim reapers, and they harvest or reap the souls of the living when it's their time to die, and they take them to their afterlife. And that's all I'm going to give you. But I am very, very excited, and that's why I've been making so many map parts about it. So this channel will definitely become a lot more harvester oriented, and I'm going to be moving away from map parts a little bit. I want to do more like animation memes and short original animations, because I find those really fun, and there's been some really good ones that have been coming out that I'm really interested in doing. I think it'd be very fun for me to do and very exciting, so keep a lookout for that. And why don't we head into our last section, where we'll be talking about this speed paint. All right, our last section, section 6, we'll be talking just about the art in this speed paint. So I created the original cover, the first cover, in August of 2018. Then I created the second version in January 2019. And now we have the third and maybe final version in August of 2020. I am incredibly happy with how this one turned out. If you'll notice, comparing the three of them, there's a big change in both style, I think grasp on artistic skills, and I also changed the designs of the characters a bit. I think it's most noticeable in Ryan and Corvus. Oh, and Arbitrium and Aurum. Or, sorry, Aurum and Argentum. Together they're Arbitrium. I changed their designs a lot. I made Ryan more visibly piebald because he's supposed to be a piebald Periton, so I made his nose pink because he has white fur. And I made part of his nose a darker color to line up with an additional little marking on his nose. I thought that made him look a bit more piebald. As for Corvus, I gave him a much longer face because I really like how his face came out, and I gave him these almond-shaped eyes because Crow Periton in the world of Flutter have almond-shaped eyes and very long muzzles, so they look very elegant. But in this case, because he's crazy and his fur's all roughed up and he's covered in scars and he's got crazy pupils, it makes him look kind of scary and snake-like, which leads us into Aurum. Aurum is the god on the left, and I changed him quite a bit because Aurum and Argentum used to look super, they were basically the same. Like I was really bad with same face syndrome, so Aurum, I made him a lot more snake-like because he is the smooth, clever, the talker of the two. So I gave him these spikes, sort of, instead of like traditional antlers. So it made him look very jagged, but he still has smooth features like in the snout where it kind of curves down. It looks very snake-like, I think. And I gave him little fangs. Moving on to his twin brother, Argentum, he is supposed to be the bulky, the muscle, kind on the duller side, but he just cares about his brother a lot and he'll do anything for Aurum. So I changed his design a bit. I made him a lot more broader in the face and in the chest because he's supposed to be like powerful and big. And I also changed his horns. So instead of traditional, because both Aurum and Argentum are now based off of Roosevelt elk, which are very, very beautiful. But instead of giving them traditional antlers, I gave Aurum the spike kind of antlers, and then I gave Argentum more ram's horn because I thought that would kind of work in with his brutish nature. You know, maybe he likes to face things head on like a ram does. As for Thyme and Basil, they've mostly stayed the same. Thyme I gave a lot longer of a muzzle. I made her ears more traditionally deer-shaped, while I made Ryan's a bit broader and almost more cat-like. As for Basil, he's basically stayed the same. I changed the color of his eyebrow spots to dark brown instead of tan, because I like the look of that better. But yeah, he's mostly stayed the same. I gave him cuter cheeks because he's supposed to be kind of a sweet guy. So that's basically the process that I had with this. I feel like the shading came out okay. It kind of looks a little foggy and dirty, like I just used the airbrush tool in MS Paint. I'm a little unhappy with it, but I think overall I'm very happy with it. I also changed the text on it. I added a bit more text than was on the original covers, and I'm pretty happy with how it came out. So that will be the end of this video. I really, really hope you enjoyed this, and I hope this answered any questions that anybody has. If you have any more questions clarifying anything, feel free to comment them down below. I will do my best to answer everything. I hope this wasn't too boring. Hopefully you just, I know that if there's anybody out there like me, you just put me on in the background and drew yourself, because that's what I like to do. Well, hopefully this won't be my last talking video for a while. Tell me what you guys are interested in getting from me. I'm moving away from map parts and more to original animations, maybe even animation memes and stuff like that. Do you guys want more talking videos? Because I'm interested in talking. I don't want to be like a commentary YouTuber or commentary artist where I talk about drama. That's not really my thing. I love hearing about it, but I don't want to talk about it. So maybe art advice, character design advice, stuff like that, I'd be willing to do. Comment down some suggestions. I'll read through them. I basically read every comment I ever get. So, well, I hope you all have a wonderful day. Stay safe. Wash your hands. And I will see you next time. Goodbye.